Hey, what's up everybody? Commander Radix here, bringing you another episode of Transformers Lore. In this episode, we're going to be covering what we know about the Decepticon leaders memorialized in the Hall of Heroes on Cybertron. The Hall of Heroes appears in continuities centered around the Generation 1 cartoon, or the Generation 1 movie, meaning the information presented in this video can be said to be true in a handful of universes, most notably the American and Japanese G1 cartoon universes. On the planet Cybertron, there is an open-air center known as the Hall of Heroes, where monuments have been erected for previous Decepticon leaders. Most notably, it was the site of Starscream's attempted coronation in 2005. We know very little about these leaders, besides the fact that they must lead up to Tranus, as Tranus was the Decepticon leader directly before Megatron, meaning the Hall of Heroes isn't up to date, and likely began somewhere around the time of the foundation of the Decepticons as a race built by the Quintessons, or after the Decepticons adopted their own identity following the war to drive the Quintessons off the planet. Some of these Decepticon leaders also have memorials inside the Decepticon Crypt, another important Decepticon site on Cybertron. First, we have Floron, who appears in both the Hall of Heroes and the Decepticon Crypt, though nothing more is known about him. Second, we have Derry in the Hall of Heroes. We know nothing more about him. Third, we have Gulan, who is in the Hall of Heroes. While we don't know anything about this universe's Gulan, we do know a little bit about another Gulan. This alternate Gulan's universe was consumed by the Swarm, but Gulan managed to escape, only to arrive in Axiom Nexus, in the Transtech universe of Nexus 208.0 Epsilon. Axiom Nexus prohibits faction leaders from across the multiverse, and so Gulan was to be kicked out with no other place to go. He volunteered for an expedition into the X dimension. Gulan went to a store owned by an off-worlder named Needlenose for equipment. Originally, Gulan was going to use the Chaos Saber, the combined form of the Sky Terror Minicon team. Needlenose criticized the Chaos Saber from a fashion standpoint, and instead outfitted Gulan with the Pyro Saber created by Jetter, Mach, and Shuttler, the Zephyr Blade Minicon team. After leaving to the X dimension, Gulan was never heard from again. We move on to Murderon, who is both in the Hall of Heroes and the Decepticon Crypt. Nothing more is known about him. Then we have Bloodron, who, again, is in both the Hall of Heroes and the Crypt. While we don't know anything about this continuity's Bloodron, we do know that the Bloodron of Primex 913.12 Epsilon, or the Insert continuity, was considered to be an ancient and dangerous Decepticon whose memories were stored inside the distant vestigial cortical complex on an unknown planet. Moving on, we have Devron, who is in the Hall of Heroes. We know nothing else about him. Gladiaron comes next. Though we know very little about him, we do know the universe-hopping Sideways considers him to be savage, and there really is no reason for him to lie about this in the context of the comment. Moving on, we have the leader Pinoy, who is in the Hall, and we know little about. Then we have Raperon, who was in the Hall of Heroes, and besides that we have nothing else. And finally, we have Cana Baron, also known as the Cannibal Baron, which we actually do know something about. Cana Baron believed that by eating the sparks of his enemies, he could gain power from them. After establishing a base within the city of Corumkan, Cana Baron launched his destructive and cannibal campaigns into cities like Nuon in the south and Harmonex in the north. The Autobot Sentinel N, a relative of Sentinel Prime, would step up and challenge Cana Baron to personal combat in the city of Doradus. Their duel was so great that it knocked the entire city out of phase with reality. Supposedly, Doradus appears once every 10,000 Vorns, or 830,000 years, for a single bream, or 8.3 minutes, where you can see the two still locked in combat today. And that's going to wrap up this episode of Transformers Lore. I hope you've enjoyed. We do history videos and Transformer videos on this channel, so consider subscribing if you're into any of that. Follow me on social media, all the links are in the description, and if you want to go further to support me, consider supporting me on Patreon. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day, ladies and gentlemen.
Stuck inside space and time, feels like I'm dead inside. Nobody even looks at me, they all just walk on by.